If you take a quick look at the blueprint we've been working on, you might find that it already might look a bit confusing, since there are so many nodes and connection wires. It might take you some time to discern what is what and what affects what. Well, that's a common practice. Blueprints can get very messy, very fast. Take a look at example of a player character blueprint of one of my earlier games. Even though I kind of tried to keep things organized, it still looks like a mess. Today I will teach you how to avoid this mess and keep your event graphs tidy and clean. Otherwise, I promise, if you decided to take a break from developing, once you return, you wouldn't understand majority of what is responsible for what and how things work in the blueprint. Moreover, you might not be working alone on your project. It would take other person quite a while to grasp such a blueprint. Lucky for us, the Unreal Engine has some nifty tools that will help us keep things clean and tidy. Let's begin. Please return to our wall to bridge blueprint. First things first. Remove all the unused nodes in the event graph. All nodes can be restored if the need arises. These 3 nodes were available to us right after we created this blueprint. Since we don't use them for our project, simply delete them. This is the first timeline we created. It used a vector track to move our bridge. Since we decided to use the float track method, we don't need these nodes anymore. Delete them. I suggest placing events in a way where the sequence is kept organized. For instance, these are nodes that are responsible to act when the player character overlaps our blueprint. So this is the first phase of action for this blueprint. Let's place it about the second phase, where we already tell our blueprint what to do. Okay, I think you catch my drift so far. Now let's learn commenting. Usually, Unreal Engine tutors will tell you to use the following way of commenting. You simply select the nodes you want to comment and then hit C key on your keyboard. This node is responsible to decide whether the bridge needs to go to the end location or return from it. Why don't we write it here so that the next time you or somebody else opens this blueprint, they know what are these nodes for? Commenting like this is also helpful, since you can move around all the nodes that are within the boundaries of this comment simultaneously. You can also change the color of the comment box. For example, I tend to use a shade of orange to comment parts of the blueprint that are responsible for movement of a component in space. You can also adjust size of the font for comments. This is one way of commenting you see here. I also tend to use explanation bubbles. Somehow, I like the way they look more than the look of the ordinary comments. First, left-click on the node. A tiny bubble indication will appear in this location. Click on it. Now you can input whatever text you want here. By clicking on this tiny pin icon, you can force the text bubble to scale based on your zoom. Let's try it out. I clicked on this pin. Now, if you zoom out further, the text in the bubble will still be legible. If I click on this pin again, the text in the bubble won't be legible if I zoom out. At one point, it will even disappear. I use this zoom pin to mark places that are important to what I'm tweaking in the blueprint or debugging. You can find your own use for this zoom pin. I just wanted you to know that there are options available when it comes to working with these text bubbles. Finally, if you click on these tiny 3 dots, you can hide the text bubble. Don't worry, it wasn't deleted but merely hidden. To expand it, you can click on the node and then click on this icon with 3 dots again. Finally, you can use descriptions to communicate with yourself or other developer who will work on your blueprints. Descriptions don't work on all nodes, but you can certainly use them on variables. Just click on the variable and then add description here. You can also categorize your variables so they look tidy in this My Blueprint panel. At the moment, we only have 2 variables in this blueprint. I will still show you how to categorize them so that you will know how to do it in the future. For instance, this isatent location boolean is here to tell the game engine where the blueprint is located. Why don't create a category that deals with location stuff? To create a category for the variable, first you need to left click on it. Then click in this location and start typing the name of the category. Let's come up with a meaningful name for this category. I think we can simply call it location stuff. Okay, this should tilt boolean is responsible to decide whether the wall should tilt into a bridge or not. So it either allows an action or not. So we can call the category of this should tilt boolean the action management. First, I will click on the variable. Then I will create a new category for it by typing it out here. Great. As you can see, the categories we just created are visible here. The location stuff category and the action management category. These can be collapsed and expanded. I know at the moment this might not look too relevant since we only have 2 variables to work with. But trust me, there may be cases where you will have to work with more than 100 variables in a single blueprint. Categorizing them appropriately will save you a ton of time. You only need a couple of seconds to create these categories, but once you have a lot of variables, dealing with them if they are uncategorized will require serious effort and time. Please, make sure you always categorize your variables. It's a worthwhile investment of your time. Though we haven't finished tidying up our event graph, I'd like to stop this lecture here. You decide for yourself whether you want to continue now or have a rest. There will be no assignment for this lecture as technically it isn't finished yet. For now, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture.